the chat. So we're going to talk about the upcoming Milwaukee Republican National Convention in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. And we're going to talk about Trump and make some connections with JFK and with this guy. So hopefully, guys, that's Rittenhouse. We'll talk a bit about him as well. So with that being said, I found it interesting that yesterday it was posted on the BRICS. This is the official BRICS Twitter channel, or X, whatever you want to call it. And they posted actually a post saying Donald Trump's campaign manager says far left extremist influencer Harry Sisson will get a visit from the United States Secret Service following his tweet calling for the A. I'm just going to use the word A because I don't want to. Yeah, I'm just going to use the word A or something like that to fill in for this word, but of President Trump. So you can see that they're talking about this incident, right? And in the last video that I did about July and the money in the bank, I talked about how we are entering into lunation, which is the count of the moons, basically, starting in 1923. This is our 1256 new moon since that starting date. And so we're entering into that on July 6th. So this will be lunation 1256. And I mentioned in that stream that this phrase equals 1256. So very interesting that BRICS started off the month with essentially this phrase as they're posting this. And this was getting, I don't know how many views it got by now, but I just thought it was interesting. And then this guy, I didn't get a chance to look into him, Harry Sisson, but apparently he's a big influencer, far-leaning left influencer on Twitter. So, and again, another interesting part about this is that the new moon is on July 6th with his 7/6, and Donald John Trump equals 76. Of course, Skull and Bones also equals 76. And it's worth mentioning that this date will also be George W. Bush's 78th birthday. Trump just turned 78, and this will be George W. Bush's 78th. Remember, on George W. Bush's 76th birthday, you had the Guidestones going down near Atlanta, and Trump just, had the debate in Atlanta with CNN. I just thought that was also, and don't forget, in the iPad Goat film, the short, most of you guys know what that is George W. Bush is wearing the hat on it that has the D on the front, which I think represents Donald. And of course, Donald Trump has a lot of head wound symbolism as well. We've seen a lot of that. But so this is what KJ Malone brought up to me, and this is kind of what got my wheels spinning even more. And I shared this with Derek when I found it out because I thought it was crazy. But so I told you guys that it was going to be all about lunation 1256 because lunation 1256 goes from July 6th to August 3rd. So the whole month will be part of this lunation. And Trump, of course, not only will he be getting sentenced on July 11th, so he's going to be big in many ways this month, but he'll be getting sentenced on July 11th. And then on July 15th to the 18th, he will be involved in the Republican National Convention in Milwaukee. Well, what's interesting about that is what are the chances that the venue that Trump's going to be at for this is the Pfizer. Is that how you say that? Pfizer?
It's Pfizer.
Okay. Pfizer Forum. And what are the chances that equals 1256 in the same cipher as this phrase? And of course, this is coming. And essentially, you could say that July 15th is another 7/6 date because you add the 1 and the 5. So you're essentially getting the same date as the start of lunation 1256 on July 6th. And then he starts the convention on July 15th. So that's just crazy to me, the 1256. So we're going to have to be watching to see if there's anything coming up with the 1256s this month. Just like last month, we had a lot of 255s and 12. We had a lot of 255s. I know that. So I just think it's crazy that this is exactly where he's going to be having this convention. And immediately when I thought of Milwaukee or Wisconsin, well, first of all, Wisconsin equals shooting in one cipher, 44 in the reduction cipher. So, and Wisconsin had its fair share of shootings, and Derek probably can recall more than I can because Derek's from Wisconsin. But it's a state that when I think of shootings, I think of Wisconsin. Monday Night Raw on Corpus Christi. I did a whole video about this if you guys missed it. Well, they were saying that there's going to be a massacre coming. And they in fact even gave us the date. In a normal year, the date June 17th falls on the 168th day of the year with 197 days remaining. And if you guys can see at the bottom of this was a screenshot of after they hacked the website, Bray Wyatt's brothers, Wyatt family, they wrote this. And in fact, if you read this whole thing, they talk about currency at the very top of this, which also ties right again back to currency stuff. But at the very end, they say a massacre is coming, and then they give you the date June 17th. And it's funny that the convention that Trump's about to be in is going to be on essentially the opposite. It's going to be taking place also on July 16th, which is the opposite day of the calendar of this massacre day that WWE was giving out. And of course, what ended up actually happening on June 17th was a skit that connected to a massacre or a head wound. So this is Chad Gable. I talked about this, but the whole riddles leading up to this massacre was talking about, can you keep a secret? In fact, Chad Gable was very known for going shush. He would always hold his finger up to his mouth and go shush, like secrets. And so he gets taken out with a clear head wound. I mean, you can't get any more obvious than that. And he gets taken out on June 17th, which again is the opposite day of the calendar of this Trump convention in Milwaukee. And his name, Charles Edward Betts, equals 187. And that was 70 days after the eclipse, the Great American Eclipse in Corpus Christi, which equals 70. It's connected to Jesus Christ, right? But anyway, the big number here is that his name equals 187. And this is the number I started out connecting the fact that Trump convention, the last day of the convention is on the date 18/7. And of course, the whole phrase that for months they kept talking about is, can you keep a secret, which also equals 187 like June 17th. So this number was what they were pointing to, clearly. And what makes this even crazier to me is that not only does this guy who gets the head wound equal 187, and again, this is the homicide code, police homicide code is 187. And just note that this man is born on March 8th. So this guy has so much taking out numbers. He's born on March 8th, which is 38 or 83. That's the big murder code. Not only that, he's born in the year 86. When you 86 somebody, you take them out. And he's 38 years old right now. And he's from Minnesota, which equals 38. So, I mean, I've never seen a guy so coded with being taken out than this guy. And just notice that he's from his last birthday on March 8th to this convention on 187 is essentially 18 weeks and 7 days. You could say 19 weeks, but in reality, you could also say it's 18 weeks and 7 days. So, and again, it lands perfectly on the date, July 18th, which is the last day of this convention. Also, if you go from the convention forward 7 months and 18 days, you land on his birthday again. So both forwards and backwards, you have this 18/7, and then you have the 7 months, 18 days from the convention to his next birthday. And the day of the year that this convention is happening on is the 200th day of the year. And of course, Chad Gable equals 200.